Journey of Memory, Book 1 of the Lost Memories Trilogy, by Damien Remington. When he opened his eyes, Cain immediately noticed two things. First, he was lying on the ground in the middle of a forest on some rather comfortable bright green grass, which rippled in a breeze that passed by. Second, the only thing he could remember about himself was that his name was Cain. That was it. Not why he was in the middle of a forest, or where he had come from, or even what he looked like. Only his name rang through his mind, and that startled him. Well, that's strange, he thought to himself, slightly concerned. Why can't I remember anything? When he tried to think about his past, or the world at all, it was as though a fog-like blur clouded his mind and shrouded his memories from him. His name was the only thing in his mind at that moment. He began to worry, as he guessed that it wasn't normal for him to just forget his past. However, he quickly stopped himself from growing more worried, and began to calm down. Okay, Cain, calm down. You're all right, just a little confused, that's all. There's no point in panicking. Panic will just make everything worse. Calm down and think. Try and remember something. After a few more minutes of trying to remember anything, Cain found himself with no more of a memory than before. He sighed dejectedly, feeling defeated. Then he had an idea. Not much of one, but an idea nonetheless. Well, I guess I'm not going to get anywhere by just lying around on the ground. Maybe someone or something nearby can help me remember, well, anything really. Sitting up slowly, Cain looked around at his surroundings and noticed one thing. That no one was nearby. The only thing around him were trees, very tall trees with sunlight brightly shining through their leaves. Well, at least it's daytime. Just afternoon, judging from where the sun is. Then, looking down at himself, he found himself fully clothed in a gray button-down shirt and black pants, along with a pair of tall brown boots. Okay, so I'm clothed. That's good. And everything seems to be in good condition, so maybe I came from around here. But just where is here? Considering there were only trees around him, Cain didn't have very much to go on. But then he spotted something that gave him something. Seated at the base of one of the nearby trees laid a beat-up leather satchel that looked as though it had been tossed aside. Standing up, Cain walked over to the bag and picked it up. It felt somewhat heavy, which furthered his curiosity. Looking over the exterior of the bag, Cain found an embossing on one of the straps, which read Cain Temple, leading him to guess that it was his bag. Maybe something inside will give me a clue to what's going on. He quickly opened the bag, peering inside at its contents. Books, bundles of paper, a smaller bag, and what looked to be a compass. Nothing too interesting off the bat. Great start. Starting with the books, he carefully pulled them out, one by one, and looked at the titles. Sadly, none of them seemed immediately helpful to Cain. Voron and Mequella, an analysis. The histories of Vioria, studies on relations between humans, Voron, and Mequella. The world of complex magical theory and spatial envelopment. Cain didn't really understand any of the titles, or why these specific books would be in his bag. His memory, or lack thereof, didn't give him any hints either, so he just put each to the side. The last one he pulled out, however, had his name on the spine, which gave Cain a glint of hope. Opening the book up quickly smothered that hope, though, as the book appeared to be written in a language which Cain could not read. Odd. Why does it have my name on it if I can't read it? Figuring he would take a closer look at the book after investigating the rest of the bag, Cain put it to the side and recommenced with pulling things out of the bag. Taking out the bundles of paper, Cain found that most of the loose sheets were actually blank. One of the bundles, though, folded out into a map, with the word Vioria at the top. Cain guessed from looking at it that it was a map of the world. However, when he inspected the map closer, he found that he didn't recognize any of the city names. He sighed once again. Well, at least a map's useful. Now if only I knew where I was. Looking at the smaller bag, he found that it contained several pieces of what appeared to be gold coins, so he guessed that meant that he had money with him. And the compass was just that, a compass. Good. I can tell which direction I am facing when completely lost, Cain thought, rolling his eyes. Feeling around the inside of the bag, Cain made sure that it was empty, causing him to frown while looking down at what he had pulled out of the bag. Okay, it might be my bag, but none of what's in it is helpful. Great. Now what? While contemplating over the contents of the bag and what to do next, a sudden sound perked Cain's ears up. Whistling. This once again brought his hopes up. Someone must be nearby, he thought to himself. Either that or I'm going insane. Hopefully the former. Deciding that the best thing to do was to investigate the noise, Kane quickly packed up the items back into his bag, slung said bag across his shoulder, and walked off in the direction from which the whistling was coming from. At first it was difficult for Kane to track the sound, as it was rather quiet, and at times it simply stopped. But it would eventually pick up again, allowing Kane to continue on his path. After a bit of time, Kane finally found the source of the whistling in a wide circular clearing with the sun shining down on it. And just where the whistling was coming from surprised Kane. It came from a girl. Not a human girl, though. This girl was covered in fur, and had large ears at the top of her head, as well as a tail protruding out of a hole in the base of her skirt. She looked like a fox, but not a fox at the same time. Her face looked like a human's with a fox-like mouth, and her hands and feet had pads on them. It was like she was a fox with some human qualities mixed in, including whistling, standing upright, and wearing clothes. Nice-looking clothes at that. A white cotton shirt and a brown cotton skirt. She appeared at the moment to be picking flowers from the ground and putting them into a bag she had brought with her, whistling while doing so. Kane didn't really find this creature frightening, or even dangerous. No, the feeling she brought to him was confusion? No, it was curiosity. Kane felt a need to talk to this fox girl. He rationalized that if she could whistle, maybe she could speak as well. And maybe, just maybe, she knew who he was. Maybe since she was around here, she might know who I am or what I'm doing here. She's got to at least know where we are, so maybe that might help me remember something. He walked forward into the clearing and coughed to try and get the fox girl's attention. He saw her ears perk up, but other than that, she seemed to ignore Kane. After a few more seconds, he coughed again, which again perked her ears. She still didn't turn towards Kane, but this time she spoke, continuing to pick flowers from the ground. Look, I know that you're there, and apparently you really want my attention, but let me just tell you first that if my brother sent you to safeguard me or drag me back to town, you can just turn your tail and go back yourself. I can handle myself, he knows that, the fox girl said with a hint of irritation in her voice. To Kane, her voice sounded sweet and soothing like honey, even if she was annoyed at something. However, he had no idea what she was talking about. She clearly thought he was someone else, though, so he decided the best thing to do was just speak up. I'm sorry, but I don't really know what you're talking about. I was just hoping you'd be able to tell me where I am. This got her attention as she stopped picking flowers and stood up while she turned around. Where you... How do you not know where you... Oh, she said upon finally seeing Kane, who gave her a weak smile and a wave, as if to say, Hello, I'm horribly confused. Can you help? The fox girl just stood there staring at him, which made him feel uncomfortable. Then, suddenly, she rushed towards Kane, stopping just in front of him, causing him to jump back slightly in fright. Walking around him slowly, she appeared to be inspecting him, making Kane feel even more uncomfortable and paranoid under her eyes. A human? You're a human? All the way out here? She said, still circling. As she continued mumbling to herself about how a human was in front of her, her interest in this fact added more to Kane's overall confusion about his situation. Are humans uncommon around here? Then what am I doing here? Figuring there was nothing to be gained by being quiet, he decided to respond to her. Yes, I am in fact human, and you're a fox girl. Now that that's out of the way, perhaps you can help me with a problem I'm having. She stopped when he said the word fox girl, and gave Kane a confused look while cocking her head. Fox girl? You mean Voron? You really aren't from around here, are you? Not if you don't know what Voron are. The mention of the word Voron brought thoughts back of the books in Kane's bag. So Voron are a species. Interesting. Kane thought for a second before deciding what to say to the Voron girl, who had started to circle around him again. Well, that's the thing. I don't know where I'm from, or anything about myself, really. All I know is my name, that being Kane Temple. That's why I was hoping you would help me somehow. I thought that maybe you knew who I was, or why I'm here in the middle of the forest. By the way, what are you here in the middle of a forest? The question popped into Kane's head, and he felt that he had to ask it. Interesting. Amnesia. She seemed to have ignored his question, and continued looking Kane up and down. Kane wondered how long she was going to circle him when suddenly she stopped in front of him, paws on her hips. She stared straight into his eyes, and he stared back. Looking at them, Kane saw that her eyes were bright crystal blue, which contrasted well with her orange fur and large brown-tipped ears. She wore a smile on her face as she started to talk. My name's Sophiria. Sophia Foxtail. And as to what I'm doing out here, I'm gathering herbs to restock my medical supply. Our town is nearby, so I come out here whenever I'm running low on supplies. Ah, so you're a doctor? Kane asked, his interest piqued. Perhaps she could help him after all. I'm known more as a healer around these parts, but yes, I guess you can call me a doctor. Tell me, Kane, you say you have no memories besides your name? She asked, to which Kane nodded. Yep. Like I told you, all I know is that I woke up in this forest with only my name in my memory. Also, I found this bag lying nearby with my name on it. I thought it might hold some clues to my problem, but all it has in it are books and blank sheets of paper, so I have no real ideas. Sophia nodded along while Kane talked, paying close attention to what he was saying. You sound rather calm for a person who just woke up in an unknown place with no memory of who they are or where they came from. Are you sure you're all right? She asked. Kane shrugged. To be honest, I don't really know. Part of me feels like there's somewhere I have to be, like there's something that I have to be doing right now. But I have no clue what that thing is. But honestly, I feel calm. I mean, there's no point in panicking, right? But at the same time, that feels wrong. Feeling calm, I mean. Like, I shouldn't feel calm. I don't know, it's hard to explain, Kane said. Sophia continued nodding as Kane spoke, as if mentally taking notes. Well, why don't you start from the beginning? Maybe that will help you remember something. If anything, it will at least give me the general idea of what's happened to you since your last memory, Sophia stated. Kane considered this and figured it couldn't hurt, so he proceeded to tell her the short series of events that had occurred since his waking up. After he had finished, Sophia asked him whether he remembered anything more about himself, to which Kane shook his head. Nope, my mind is still a blank. I really do wonder what happened to me. Like, where did I come from? I'm guessing from your reaction to seeing me that humans aren't exactly common around these parts. But if that's true, then why am I here? And what am I supposed to do now? Just sit around in these woods? I'm so confused. Just wish I had a clue about what's going on. Kane's sentence trailed off into silence as both he and Sophia stood there, thinking about what to do next. Suddenly, Sophia looked at Kane in a flash of inspiration. Look, we're not going to get anywhere just standing around here, so why don't you come back to town with me? One of our elders might be able to help you. If nothing else, they can at least give you some insight into what you can do next. Kane found this option agreeable, as it was really the only option open to him. Either that or sit lost in this forest for the rest of my life. I'll take you up on that offer, Sophia. Lead the way to your town, if you would be so kind. Kane then bowed awkwardly, feeling as though he should. Sophia giggled at him, causing him to blush slightly and stand straight up again. She smiled, then turned and walked over to her bag and picked it up. She then turned back to Kane. Coming? She asked. Kane quickly went to stand right by her side, and together they walked off to Sophia's town.